I figure I might as well go ahead and relay an actual, please, 7-part teaching on the quote unquote super Satan. And basically, the first one would be, please identify the super Satan. The super Satan actually is based on this. It's on the screen now. This shows where an incorrect understanding goes. Because, one, people do not, please, voluntarily believe this. The first understanding is that your body attempts to keep you away from super Satan. The second is nobody believes an idiot trying to say any nonsense here, please. Therefore, the only way to actually worship this super Satan is to continually make really stupid decisions. The only way therefore, this comes out to the level so basic that worship and belief are the exact same thing. This is where worship equals doing an action, but being so high on something. Seriously. Humans never have to deal with this super Satan. Human biology ensures that. So what can this teach us about the reality of Christianity? The first understanding of Christianity is not that it's natural, that has no meaning. It's that it's obvious. The first basic teaching of Christianity, I'm sorry, is this one. You must have a minimum knowledge before you even open up the Holy Bible, please. The Holy Bible is a book written for people who understand basic things like you tie your shoes not because God commands it, but because you don't want to trip. We have a problem here. The fastest violation is trying to say that you need to ask God permission to do basic maintenance things, because that's a lie. Because you cannot ask God permission to take every single step. You cannot ask God permission to inhale. I will add that ideas like God gives you permission to breathe. That's a fast way to fairy enslavement. Seriously, a fast way to be enslaved by a spirit fairy is to start believing that you need heaven's permission to breathe. That'll be a second installment here, talking about the super Satan formed when a person starts to be concerned that the act of breathing is a sin in certain cases. That'll be volume 2. What else can be said about this very basic super Satan? Nothing else. So possibly a greater Satan. It's not a super Satan, but possibly a greater Satan is to say, really, is to not say one thing and then not do another thing. A greater Satan is to not admit that you must use a certain level of brain in saying stuff. But even greater than that is being too scared to hit stop. Imagine this shows up and says, do you need more templates? We're going to simply add real quick that the greatest protection for women, please, is for God to require himself to follow customary dating practices, please. Please. It turns out that we have a request from the actual church because it turns out that there actually is established super Satan in a Christian church, and actually it's best depicted using the Shure microphone. A lot of them believe that this seems to be the biggest, really the biggest destroyer of ministry to exist anywhere near working ministry. The problem is what happens is people don't understand the purpose of this device. They don't understand that this changes a person's message materially. I'm going to talk about one application of this because the problem this just comes to a complex of complexes. We're going to go ahead and skip over the trust one because no one wants to talk about that in this type of understanding. I'm going to simply go down the route of recording. The best way to ensure you're not recorded is to be away from this stuff, please. It's a sure bet that if you're speaking into this device, you're probably being recorded. That's just a dead one. Speaking into this device is a direct saying, yes, you have permission to record me. Please. Seriously, you can't doubt that. There's also a legal argument there. Since it's easy to be away from these things, you have a problem there, please. The problem that comes after that is not understanding the consequences of being recorded, especially when you have no authority over the recording, which is always the case if you do any type of upload, which today just means using these devices. Very often, media is uploaded to some type of cloud storage immediately upon presentation. That this occurs in live church is obvious, and that is sufficient. What makes this a Satan is a Satan of misunderstanding. People don't understand the consequences of using this stupid infernal device. That is a problem. Okay, here's the thing. That first super Satan is one of reality. That's just one of reality. The idea of not understanding the consequences of incorrect interaction of brick walls is just one of reality. This here is very possibly the bottom of intelligence. And this is complex because in the end, this is not avoidable. This proves. They're saying that this is now a logical proof. It's a logical sealed proof of the necessity of Jesus Christ. Why do you need Jesus Christ? He's the only person who can defend you from the eternal microphone. People need Jesus for this reason. They're being recorded. Only with Jesus do people have the skills necessary to survive the consequences of being recorded. Here in South Texas, I've noticed that a lot of medical buildings, this is probably standard, please. Among medical buildings, there's a reason for it, please. I've noticed that a lot of medical buildings here in South Texas are designed this way. They consist of an atrium hall that extends down the middle of the building with a number of doctors' offices on either side. The idea is that if you enter this hall, if you just keep walking, you'll come out the other end and not see any doctors. This solves a legal problem. At least it does now. With doctor visits. Because it is possible for a person to end up in that atrium, actually very possible, it happens all the time, because a lot of people walk next to the doctor's office, please. Other people walk next to the doctor's offices. That's not visiting the doctor. This design requires a search, look, decide, push. Given that, almost always the doctor's offices are blocked by a door, please. That must be opened. With this arrangement, there is no doubt that the patient made a conscious decision to see the doctor. The problem is that Earth is organized that way, please. Especially on an especially on interstate highway, please. So, there's so many Google examples of this. I'm not gonna worry about that. But especially on an interstate highway, see, one thing you can't do is just keep on driving. There are simply no vehicles, please, that can start on, over at the East Coast and then continuously drive all the way to the West Coast. A distance of, we'll just say 2,000 miles, to give a number that is larger than the fuel capacity of any vehicle. They said please add solar to that, because you must stop a solar vehicle for specific types of maintenance, way before you get all the way across. And finally, experts in trains said the reason why a train can't go that far actually are very complicated, but are probably most related to the field one, which is the thing that affects cars. Larger one being the obvious goal with trains, which is not just to waste coal. That may understand the largest violation here. Because it's possible to drive from, for example, Philadelphia to San Francisco to Philadelphia and having accomplished absolutely nothing other than waste, an insane amount of time, gas, car wear, and other things for that completely, useless, trip. Not taking a trip has new understanding dimension with something like that. It also follows that somebody who actually does something like that is probably not going to come back sane. Seriously. You need to ask serious questions if somebody starts doing things like that, because it's not possible outside of a mode of thinking. Because that's an example of wanton waste. What's the super Satan here? Possibly deleting this recording. Why? I don't remember what I said at the beginning. That's the job of the recording device. Finally, you have actual Satan. It can be argued that the opposite of salvation is giving your life to her. Because this needs to be demonstrated, I'm going to basically see what happens. Seriously, of course, for the normal safeties. I'm going to see what happens if I actually believe this image is salvation.